So I've been playing Twilight Princess recently, and it's got me remembering just how amazing the game is. From the darker atmosphere, to the memorable characters and music, to some of the greatest plot twists in a franchise known for its plot twists. It's one of those games that when you play it makes you wonder, wow, there are people out there who don't like this game? I'm just playing, of course, since everyone's entitled to their own opinions, and Lord knows I have some of my own after all. But one thing nobody can debate about this game is the sheer amount of mysteries woven deeply into every pixel of its subtly, yet intricately developed universe. Who built the ruins on top of Snow Peak? Who moved the Temple of Time from Hyrule Castle Town into the Lost Woods? And these are the Lost Woods, right? Why are the Kokiri and Gerudo completely missing from the game? Who were the interlopers? But of all of these mysteries that remain unsolved or unofficially solved in theory forums to this day, the biggest of them all has got to be the curious case of the hero Shade and the curse that haunts him in the afterlife. Some of you who have been around for a while might even remember that I did a video on who killed the hero Shade several years ago, which I have since developed some significantly different opinions on, hence why I'm making this video, which is going to serve to focus in on the hero Shade once more, and bring up another possibility explaining his story that you might not have heard before. But in case you haven't played the game yourself, or maybe you have but it's been a while, allow me to recap what we know to be canonically accurate about the hero Shade in order to set up what's so mysterious about this ghostly figure. In the first place, we know due to several different sources that the Shade is none other than Link from Ocarina of Time, who is otherwise known as the Hero of Time. And I know that some people find this conclusion debatable, but in my opinion the proof is undeniable, and after I'm done here, I have a hunch you will think so too. But let's talk about that proof for a second. Of course, there is the most blatant piece of proof out there, which would be the straight-up confirmation in black and white that the hero Shade is the Hero of Time as written in the Hyrule Historia. The only reason it's still debated is because some people don't like the Historia and feel that, even though it's officially sanctioned and published by Nintendo, it should not be heralded as canon. If you're interested in a nice deep dive on that very subject as to whether or not these Zelda books can be considered canonical sources of information, please check out my good buddy Monster Maze's video on that exact subject, which I will leave a link to in the description below. Anyway, besides the Historia confirmation though, we also have several in-game sources of evidence to draw from as well. We know that he is a previous Link and ancestor to Twilight Princess Link because he's canonically a left-handed swordsman, which until Skyward Sword was a staple of the iterations of Link, and he directly calls Link his child, and claims that they share the bloodline of the hero, which is why he knows the hidden skills of the hero, and why his name is, the hero's spirit, or hero's Shade. There's also the very obvious fact that he also turns into a heroic golden wolf instead of the Twilight wolf that Twilight Princess Link can turn into, both of which are signs of the hero. He also straight up has a Master Sword scabbard with which to hold his blade, which means that he was in life a Master Sword wielding Link, of which there were previously only two, Skyward Sword Link and Ocarina of Time Link, with the Hero of Time being the only one of the two that was also canonically left-handed. And finally, the hero Shade howls along to songs that only the Hero of Time learned on his journey, such as the Prelude of Light or the Song of Healing. So it shouldn't be debated that the Shade is none other than the Hero of Time himself, but alas, someone will always debate that, so I digress. Moving on though, what's more interesting than his identity is what's become of him. Every detail about his appearance in Twilight Princess is also very peculiar and has inspired countless theories over the past 20 years. Because not only is he a ghost or specter of a hero, but he's showcased to us in a brand new looking set of armor that features symbols and carvings that we've never seen in the series before or since. And then there's the fact that ghost rules dictate that the Shade lingers on in the afterlife due to having died with regrets, which is also something that he directly reveals to Link after teaching him the seventh and final hidden skill by saying that though he accepted life as the hero, he was never able to pass on his skills to the next generation, and as such has finally eased his ghostly regrets by teaching them to Twilight Princess Link, and assumedly is finally able to move on. Knowing this, we're naturally left with several questions, such as why was the Hero of Time unable to pass his fighting knowledge on to the next generation? And according to the Hyrule Historia, part of his regrets are due to the fact that he mourns the fact that nobody remembers him as the hero that he is, who, for all intents and purposes, gave his life for the salvation of the world. This is because at the end of his adventure in Ocarina of Time, Princess Zelda removed the Hero of Time from the adult timeline and placed him in the new split timeline known as the Child Timeline, before any of his heroic actions were known to the world. This can be confusing though, since all throughout the game Twilight Princess, we are shown references to someone called the Ancient Hero, who was chosen by the gods according to the light spirit Ordona. In Kakariko Village, after Link heroically saves Colin from the big bad bubbling king and co. And by the way, may I interject just real quick that although I never really saw it before, now I can't stop thinking about how much Colin resembles the hero of time as a kid. Not that that means anything, but anyway, after Link saves Colin and successfully not only makes peace with the Gorons, but beats them in a contest of strength, wins their trust, and cleanses their holy Goron minds all on his own, the village elder of Kakariko named Renato straight up tells Link that there are, quote, countless tales told about the ancient hero, which Link reminds him of. Just a bit earlier in the game, the Goron known as Dangoro was inside the Goron mines guarding a weapon of the ancient hero who he referred to as the hero of the past, and that is the hero's bow, also said to be a weapon of a hero of legend, which defeated the most powerful evils this world has ever known according to the Goron elder Gor Liggs. The green tunic that Link wears is said to have been the tunic of this ancient hero, and the Hero of Time even recognizes it as such, claiming that Link needs to grow in power to match that of the Hero of Legend. Now, you might be wondering why I seem to be hammering this whole Hero of Legend thing so hard. Well, it's because it doesn't make sense. See, because we come face to face with a Hero of Legend in the game, the Hero Shade, also known as the Hero of Time, most if not all fans of the game assume that the Shade is the hero of legend that is referenced throughout the game. However, according to both in-game sources and the Hyrule Historia, this has to be impossible because the Hero of Time is not a hero at all. Not in this timeline anyway. His heroic ambitions and actions and sacrifices all exist in either the adult timeline or the fallen timeline, but in the child timeline he's just a child, a kid. A strange fairy boy who broke into the castle one day and told the Princess Zelda that the man with evil eyes she was having a hard time trusting truly was a man of evil intentions, which subsequently led to the temporary imprisonment, attempted execution, and finally banishment of Ganondorf. But the fairy boy himself didn't do anything heroic, and therefore left on his own to have adventures outside of Hyrule, the first of which we witness in Majora's Mask, where he does become a hero once again, but in a completely unknown way and for the land of Termina instead of Hyrule. This is just a guess, but perhaps this is why we don't recognize any of the hero's Shade armor symbols. Maybe it's as simple as he obtained his armor from outside the lands of Hyrule. But my point here is that the Hero of Time was actually not a hero at all in the child timeline because his heroic actions were left behind in the adult timeline, and the adventures he embarked on in the child timeline were all outside Hyrule, at least that we know of. So how is it that there are apparently so many legends about his tales? Well, what if the ancient hero that is spoken about at several points in the game is in reference to a different hero entirely? Think about it, the hero's bow was said to have belonged to a hero of the past, but the bow that the Hero of Time used in the adult timeline is called the fairy bow and looks like this. And the bow that the Hero of Time used in the child timeline in the land of Termina was called the hero's bow, but it looked like this. A bit more similar than the fairy bow, but still significantly different. The hero's tunic that Twilight Link wears in the game has a layer of chainmail underneath its cloth, a feature that is very notably not a part of the Hero of Time's green tunic. There's also the fact that we know the Hero of Time existed sometime between a measly 1 and 200 years before the events of Twilight Princess, which is hardly long enough to be referred to as ancient. I mean, we don't even call our American founding fathers ancient, and they were around 250 years ago. But you know which hero does just so happen to line up with being a very legendary, very heroic, very ancient figure in the Zelda universe? This guy. The first Link in the franchise, also known as the Hero of the Sky. He also just so happens to sport chainmail underneath his green tunic that otherwise looks much more similar to the Twilight Princess tunic than the Hero of Time's. Almost exactly similar, actually, as well as wielding a bow that also resembles the hero's bow much more accurately than either used by the Hero of Time. The Hero of the Sky also just so happened to be the only other hero in the entire franchise to use the claw shots that are otherwise a staple of the Hero of Twilight's gear, one of which is found in the Lakebed Temple and the other of which is found up in the city in the sky. I think it's very possible that the ancient chosen hero of the gods was the Hero of the Sky, leaving the legacy of the Hero of Time completely forgotten, even to the light spirits themselves. Imagine for a moment that you grew up without a father and without a mother, and you had to learn at a young age of a grave evil that will doom the world if you do not act quickly to face it yourself. Then you had to sacrifice your entire childhood and innocence to save the lives of a land that did not know you, fight to the death against a man that wields the power of a demon lord fused with the Triforce of power, then be removed from the land that you saved entirely, ensuring that nobody will ever remember you, nobody will ever thank you. And that is the curse of the Hero of Time. And perhaps this even gives us a better understanding of the words inscribed on the stone slab in the castle graveyard, which says, "The cursed swordsman sleeps beneath the sacred tree, the hero lost to time." But what do you think? Is the ancient hero actually the hero of time, or maybe another hero that we haven't met yet? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching this classically styled Zelda theory. Please consider leaving a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't already for much more gaming lore and you want to see more just like this. Huge thanks as always to my bandit crew who make my day every day. And by the way, in case you missed it, there is now a brand new perk for all bandit crew members of any tier. And that is that you can vote on what game or subject gets covered in a video on the channel. So if you're a bandit crew member or you're thinking of becoming one, be sure to keep an eye on our community posts. That's all I've got for this one, so as always, follow me on my socials, and I look forward to seeing you next time. This is Bandit, signing out. Peace!